Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Jennifer Mulchandani of Arlington Strategy. Jennifer, it's great to have you on the show.
Thanks, Gresh. Thanks for having me. I'm excited for our conversation.
No problem. Super excited as well. And before I jumped in, I want to read a little bit more about Jennifer so you can hear about all the awesome things that she's doing. And Jennifer is the founder and CEO of Arlington Strategy, a comprehensive marketing agency whose mission is to build thriving brands working to change the world. Since launching Arlington Strategy in 2012, Jennifer has become an active member of the Arlington Chamber of Commerce and is an alumni of the Leadership Arlington class of 2015, and serves on the board of directors for Bridge of Independence. Jennifer and her husband of 21 years have 3 teenage boys, and when not in a pandemic, her family travels off the beaten path around the world as much as possible. Jennifer, great to have you on the show. Are you ready to speak to the IMCO community?
I'm excited. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's do it then. So to kind of kick everything off, I wanted to rewind the clock a little bit, hear a little bit more on how you got started. Could you take us through what I call your CEO story? We'll let you get started with the business.
Sure. Honestly, I wanted to not get bored, and my company was born out of the idea that I had a lot of skills that I had amassed over a number of positions in my early career, which started out in public policy, and then nonprofit management, and then the small business retail community. And it really just occurred to me that the best way to do my next thing was to be in a consultant type position. So initially I thought I'll just be a consultant, but then very quickly realized what I wanted was to build my own brand and to have to be able to set the course of how consulting gets delivered for a variety of clients. So whether nonprofits or business or public agencies, since I had that breadth of background, I wanted to serve those various communities. And so I very quickly started working on building a brand. So it started with, I want the next job to be diverse and not helping just one company or one business or one client. And then it quickly grew from there.
Nice. I definitely appreciate that. And I think that, having that quote unquote ownership upon obviously your business, but also of the path of your skills and also how you impact clients is so huge. And I think it's something we often overlook about, owning a business, how much impact you can have in so many different ways.
That's right. That's right. I mean, it's both. It's an honor and a joy, and it's an awesome responsibility
Yes.
all at the same time.
Exactly. All mush into one for
That's
sure. We
right.
see that and feel that on a everyday basis. And so
Mhm.
I know I touched on it a little bit when I read your bio. Could you take us through a little bit more on how you do that? Could you take us through how you serve the clients that you work with Arlington Strategy?
Sure. And it really, we don't have a cookie cutter sort of product or service line.
Mhm.
I think one of the things that makes us very unique is we design a intervention or a set of services or deliverables that are very custom to the client's needs, where they are. We meet you where you are. It's not, do you want service package A, B, or C? So I would say about half of our work is on that consulting, that strategy side. So we might be working with a brand new company that maybe has a vision of what they want to do or the impact they want to make, but they don't know what they should name themselves, or they haven't done their market research. Maybe they're getting funding and they need to write a business plan. And we can help walk entrepreneurs through that stage. We write a lot of business strategies, business marketing plans, that kind of thing. Um, and then for more established organizations or businesses, they'll often come to us at a inflection point. So maybe they're launching a new product line or new service, or they want to rebrand. We've done quite a few of that in the last year. I think COVID made a lot of people look inward, um,
Mhm.
and their old brand may not be reflective of how they see themselves anymore. And so we will walk organizations or businesses through a process and deliver to them, whether it's a whole new brand package, or it could just even be messaging or how they talk about themselves. It's about half our work. The other
Nice.
half of our work is we become your marketing company. So
Mhm.
we will be a long-term partner, month in, month out, guiding our clients on strategy, sometimes augmenting their team if they have internal marketing capacity, or helping build capacity for some of the smaller organizations. Will even go so far as to help them hire their marketing staff and transition the things that we've built for them we consider that a great success if we've put ourselves out of a job by enabling a business to grow and succeed in that way. And so in that role, we'll run social media, advertising, we'll do all the media buys, PR, email marketing, and all the digital stuff that is so important right now. So it runs the gamut.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like something that's definitely, empowering for, organizations in so many different ways. And I love how you say we meet you where you are, because you may not know exactly what to do, especially during transformational times like this, where you're trying to understand what might be the pivot to make, or maybe what business or different line to start. It's great to be able to kind of lean on your expertise and the team expertise of your team to be able to understand not just what to do, but also have the strategy in order to make that happen.
Right. And I think there's a real opportunity for all businesses to, even if it's an informal team of advisors, but the role of the external consultant where we get to really add value is by more often asking questions than necessarily having all the brilliant answers. So
Mm.
it's people don't know what they don't know. And so our role is really to uh, challenge in a good way our clients so that they can make a bigger impact.
Yeah, and that makes so much sense. And I love how you talked about that cookie cutter strategy and how you guys don't really focus on that, because I almost think, and correct me if I'm wrong, by asking those questions, you get to potentially at least maybe not get the answers, but you at least get to get the brain thinking and the business thinking about what could be that answer. And then you start to get those, I guess, answers in that direction within.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite occurrences when we're talking with a client, and it can happen at any stage, but when you really start diving in, and we're really about core mission, and so we really love to work with clients that believe in something more than the dollars and cents of their business. And when you really can hone in on what gets them up in the morning, what drives them, what mark do they want to leave, and they're so passionate about it, and we're able to say like, okay, that we're going to capture that, and we're going to market around that, because when they're trying to market around all the nuts and bolts, but that isn't where the passion is, it's the lost opportunity. So for us to sort of tease out the mission, whether it's a for-profit business or not, there's a mission at the core of it, and build a marketing strategy around that is super fun.
Yeah, it definitely sounds very exciting, and I imagine that, even if you have, two businesses that are doing the same quote unquote products and services, if they have a different mission, a different why, as
Mhm.
far as what they're doing, it kind of manifests itself, and obviously the way that they communicate, but also too in the way that they communicate internally, or maybe the products or services they have, and how they branch off to other things. I imagine that it just really gets exciting to have all those different results of cementing that and understanding what that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, everybody talks about being authentic in business,
Hmm.
I think that's kind of at the core of what we try to get to is to market you authentically is going to look very different than marketing the next person. And there's so much pressure nowadays, I think, with all the social media and the rise of video marketing. Everyone sees something happen and then they go, I got to do that, I got to do that thing, or follow, and they're doing that, I should do that. And it's not always true or appropriate for the authentic why. So that's important to get to.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so important to be able to have that quote unquote external, I guess, perspective and the insight and expertise that you all have as well too. So I know you kind of touched on this a little bit. I believe that's what you consider to be like your secret sauce, and that you're able to like ask those questions, really drill down. Do you feel like that's what sets you or your organization apart and makes it unique?
I think it's one of the things. I mean, we consider ourselves very values based, and not in a just because it's on a plaque on the wall sort of way. But
Mhm.
my me as founder, my background was in public service. It's what I wanted when I was a little girl. I wanted to one day be on either the Supreme Court or be a congresswoman and change the world. And that wasn't my path, very intentionally as I grew up, but that sort of that desire to be in public service is important to me, and it's important to it's as it's turned out, those are the folks that have been attractive to me as my staff as we've built out our team of partners. It's that shared philosophy of giving back. Um, so the values stuff is really important to us, and our secret sauce. But the other part of this is we've recruited a team of people with a lot of diverse backgrounds. So, you go to some, and there's the right thing for the, there, everybody has their own thing, right? This is not to put
Mhm.
any other approach down, but we are not an agency where we all grew up in the agency model, or we all grew up in the PR model, or we all grew up as sort of business management consultants. We have a mix of people who've come through industry, come through agencies, sort of work the other client behind the other side of the desk, be it in public service, in nonprofit, and in business. And so there's this very unique, very deep industry knowledge that we have in a lot of areas, because that's our team, that's how our team has come together. And I think that really positions us when we're working with a huge plethora of types of industries, that we're bringing that real world experience to. So there's that, and then there's we really do go deep. We're not, and we get phone calls of folks who, quote unquote, just want fill in the blank. And we don't just do anything.
Mhm.
We refer out for that, and sometimes there's a role for that. But we get our hands dirty. We get into the business, and we like to develop that sort of partnership, that true understanding, because it's based in strategy and it isn't just option A, B, or C. To work with us is to get people who truly, and we say this all the time, but we mean it. We become the champions for our clients. I mean, one of my
Mhm.
team members, after working for more than a year on an account, it's a private school, ended up sending her child to that school. I mean, that's not a
Mhm.
small undertaking, but that's
Mhm.
like the true belief that we adopt on our clients, and we've become customers, of many of our clients, because we truly believe in what they're doing. And so I think that's unique, like where we become personal. And and nowadays too, you measure it by how many Facebook friends am I with former and current clients. It's
Right.
staggering. It's like I don't think business used to work that way, but
Mhm.
it's true, meaningful relationships have come out of what we've built.
Yeah, and it definitely sounds like you've been, ahead of the curve where, people talk about, mission and values and those things and what exactly are important, to us as individuals. But now we're seeing that in businesses, and now people
Mhm.
can support businesses or not support businesses based on those values or
Yeah.
that mission. And I love how you're able to do that deep dive, and how you're able to make an impact, even as you saw, as you said, as a little girl, as you wanted to basically be of service, and you're able to be of service to help many organizations and businesses be able to understand their brand, understand their messaging, understand their strategy, and how exactly they're making their impact. And I think, as you said so well, like those things are starting to not be siloed; they're starting to be one, and we're starting to see that more and more and more.
Sure. I think one of the best trends in brands nationally, and think of every large brand you can think of, some people might call it politicalization of branding,
Mhm.
and I'll leave that to others to debate. But I think that no matter what side of any one issue or whatever that you're on, um, the brands that kind of put their values on full display they are ahead of the curve, and they're winning. And you measure it every year at the Super Bowl. Everyone's waiting for, like, what's the Budweiser ad, and
Yeah.
what's going to be the funny ad, and Doritos always has a really good funny ad. I
Mhm.
am always looking for those values ads. And Lumber 84, it's stuck in my mind. It's been a few years now,
Mhm.
and at the time, I think it was a huge political statement, but they did a beautiful ad when the immigration, debates and the wall being built and all that stuff was on full political display. They put their flag in the ground, and they had an ad that took a position. And I think we can filter that down to the businesses that we have the opportunity to work with too. They're not buying the multi-million-dollar ads at the Super Bowl, but it doesn't mean that those examples that some of the national brands show us, we can't learn from that. So it's important.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge. And I think people, can get behind, a brand, if they're taking a position, and they understand who they're supporting or not supporting, you get to make that decision, for yourself. But I
Sure.
think it's so important that whether you're a big, huge Super Bowl commercial or you're potentially a local business or anything in between and all around, you are basically showcasing what your brand, your values, your mission is so that people can support that.
Yeah, exactly. And there's enough market share for most businesses that,
Hmm.
it again, it's not about drawing political lines, but it's about finding your people who can relate to what you do, what you believe, and what you're working for.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's something you can definitely get behind of, and
Mhm.
you start to attract what you become and what you showcase. So I'm glad that you're able to help so many organizations do that. And so I wanted to switch gears a little bit,
Sure.
and I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
You know, um, I don't know if this isn't a hack. I mean, I think the whole world in the last year really had to adopt whole new ways of running teams. And again, I don't think this is unique, but what has worked well for me is one every video meeting, which we're all doing a bazillion of them. It's being very intentional, not to just jump into the meeting. It's we're missing out on human connection, and it's just that, like, how was your weekend? Oh, your hair looks nice, or I hear your kids in the background. Yeah, having a good day, bad day. So that's been really important for it, and it doesn't come natural because we're booked. Every particularly now, with a Zoom culture, we have way more meetings in our day because we aren't getting in our car and driving across town, and there's not all this natural sort of decompression time happening. And so it's just like you want to jump meeting to meeting to meeting, and so being just building in those intentional moments of socialization or whatnot. So there's that, and then it's just on our team chat channel. We use Slack for our internal communication. It's having a chit chat channel, and it's seeding it, and it's letting it be an important part of our team building, keeping our culture up. Because again, like, we're just that human connection, which makes us very effective on doing the work we're doing, delivering for our clients. uh, I have spent a much more intentional time in the past year on maintaining culture with my team. That's where my worry is, but that's also where all of the intervention is going. And that's not, I don't know, that may not be a hack at all, bring something new to the table, but I think it's just very easy to forget that we have to put that work in.
Yeah, I think those are two phenomenal hacks. And I think that they're kind of hacks within a hack because I think so many times, as you said, you can Zoom literally, I guess, pun intended, to meeting to meeting to meeting, that you forget about that human aspect because we're being and able to be more efficient, but we're losing kind of like the reason why we're doing everything that we're doing. We're losing that connection piece. And to be able to kind of implement that and have that as you have, on your team and that kind of that Slack channel, but also just create it within every conversation that you're having. I think it helps us to remind ourselves of why we're doing what we're doing. So I love both of those hacks.
Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely. And so I wanted to ask you now for what I call a CEO nugget. So this could be a word of wisdom or a piece of advice. It might be something you would tell a client, or if you hopped into a time machine, you might tell your younger business self.
Oh my, those are such a great question. I mean, um, I have framed in my actual office, not my home office, and it's so basic. But what I tell clients is, what problem do you solve? Market that.
Mm.
Um, it's not losing sight of that. It's so basic, but it's
Yeah.
important to remember.
It's huge because I almost feel like I always say at the heart of entrepreneurship, it's problem solving. And I think so many times we talk about the things that we do rather than the problems that we solve, why we created whatever it is that we do
Mhm.
to feel that. And I think when we're able to do that, again, it gets, I think, to that human connection because I have this problem, this issue that I want to get solved. I'm frustrated by it. And you're not just providing me a widget, you're providing me something that can fill that gap or whatever it is I'm trying to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And so now I want to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on this show. So, Jennifer, what does being a CEO mean to you?
Uh, it means it means leadership. It means empathy. Um, and by leadership, I really mean example setting, uh, and and just really defining the mission. So I think I opened, in the early part of this conversation, I talked about that awesome responsibility
Mhm.
that we have to clients. I have that to my company. It's the people's livelihoods are my responsibility, and then the impact that we have with clients, that's my responsibility. So the buck stops with me is what CEO means. Um, but it's which sounds all very serious stuff, but it also to me means innovation and that intention setting and the tone setting, the culture setting. I love all of that comes under that auspice of leadership um, and mentorship, which is probably for me one of the most fun parts of the role is building up the people around me to be their best selves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. I definitely appreciate that because I think so many times, as you said, we look at leadership in one way. That means that you charge the team forward, you go to the mission. But I think we forget about that, those Slack channels, those things that you do that create that culture, the mentorship to be able to help people, get to where they want to be. Also, communicating with clients and doing so many different aspects. And I think so many times we silo leadership, as we kind of talked about earlier on, with
Mhm.
this is the way that you lead. But I think that leadership really speaks to the human aspect, and we are definitely not a silo human species. There's so many
Right.
different aspects of us, so many different interests. So if we speak to that, we lead to that, then we can definitely ensure our likelihood of being successful.
That's so true. I mean, it's like it makes me sad and happy at the same time, but one of my was my first hire in the business, and
Mhm.
she stayed with the company 6 years,
Nice.
from a junior position up to like a significant leadership role, and left when she was ready to launch her own business. Totally not in our field, by the way, either, like a
Mm.
huge entrepreneurial leap. And it was like I felt like a proud mother, and I'm not her mother.
Right.
Not old enough to be, but it was that feeling of it's the same thing we do with our clients. Like if we enable them to grow enough that they don't need us anymore, that's a win. And that's the same with people, right? And there's all these books around how to mentor your staff to like outgrow the role that you have for them. And it's so true because that creates the culture we were just talking about, but it also is very satisfying as a leader. You don't want to be in a CEO role where your goal is to never let people go, like
Mhm.
grow and go. Then you're never going to have the best people. So that's always a front of the mind. Well, not really front of the mind, but it's always there in terms of my role as CEO.
Yeah, I absolutely appreciate that. I mean, I think that resonates in so many different ways. Sometimes as leaders, we get so attached to, the people that we have, but also the way that we do things. And especially during disruptive times or as people grow and expand, in our organizations, you have to be able to let go. You have to be able to empower and lead people, whether we're talking about a business that's pivoting or we're talking about somebody that might be a leader on our team. We have to make sure that we are constantly evolving and changing. So,
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate that definition and that perspective.
Mhm.
And
I
I appreciate your time even more. What I wanted to do is pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you can let our readers and listeners know, and of course, how best they can get a hold of you and find out about all the awesome things you're working on.
Sure. Well, I do like to share that we are at Arlington Strategy. We do a number of free workshops. We deliver them through SCORE, which is a program of the SBA, in a partnership with the Greater Washington Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Lots of ways to access depending on the level of your business, to access some really good training opportunities on everything from advertising, digital marketing, content strategy, and so forth. We have all of that on our website and on our social channels. So that's arlingtonstrategy.com. We're on all of the normal channels, and you can get there from our website, of course. We also have a newsletter list where we make these opportunities available. So I really encourage folks who are looking for that type of inspiration to sign up with us. And to always be in touch. We love to connect. Even if we're not the folks that you need in your business right now, we have very good and deep relationships with all types of support businesses, and are happy to connect any of your listeners or readers who are looking for that, even if it's that just thing that we may not provide, but we know the people who do. So we're happy to be that resource for folks. And I just want to thank you for having me on. This is a fun conversation, and it's always good to sort of step back a little bit and look at the big picture, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I definitely appreciate you for doing that. We will have the links and information in the show notes, and I appreciate you so much for offering so many resources and being resourceful to us as well too. I know you do a tremendous amount in the community, so definitely appreciate you, appreciate your time, and I hope you have a phenomenal rest of the day.
Thanks, Grash, you too.